everybody, it's me, Georgia Rose. I'm in the soul space. Welcome. I'm here every month. Usually when I'm here, I can talk. Tonight might be a little difficult. Boy, you can really feel that Mercury and the Sun energy tonight. Um, so usually I'm in the soul space every Monday night at 7 o'clock. So here I am in Strong Island Studios in beautiful Long Island, New York. Ooh, it's a lot of energy lately. I have to say, I did a live yesterday morning and I thought I was like talking for about 10 minutes. And when I finished the video, it was like 18 minutes long. So I'm shuffling my tarot cards because lately the universe has been asking me to pull cards and do tarot, even at home with my own energy. And it's been really interesting because some of you who know me know I started out basically reading tarot, and that's how I really got in touch with my own soul space and did a lot of my own work. It was through tarot. And lately it's just, I've been called back to the cards. And I love the tarot cards. I know they're not for everybody, but I will say that for me, the tarot has opened up not only a lot of psychic ability, but it has also given me a lot of guidance at times in my life. You know, now don't really need the cards to read, but I often do go back to them. I'm just going to pull a card for tonight's show. Let's see what we got. And there's all different ways that you can work with tarot. You can shuffle them and pull the card on the top. You can shuffle and put the card on the bottom. Sometimes people will do a spread where we just like go like this, and whatever card feels warm or hot to us, we pull. Like tonight, it was the Hierophant. So that's going to be the theme of our show, I guess. So let's put that one aside so that we know. So I hope you're all having a good day. Today is the full moon in Aquarius. And for many of us with planets in Aquarius or Leo, we're really affected by this full moon. So I'd love you to comment live and tell me your stories of what has been going on in your life lately. I have been getting a lot of messages and calls and communications, just talking about the energy and people feeling a little overwhelmed. I don't like to use the word meltdown, but that is what a lot of people are doing right now. So we have some things going up in the world right now, a lot of unrest I'm seeing and some rioting and some things like that, but also a lot of really beautiful things. Locally where I am, we just had a tremendous weather thing where people really had bad floods. And I know today is the first day of the Democratic National Convention in my country. So a lot of things that are going to be changeable and changing. So today we pulled the Hierophant for our show tonight. The Hierophant in tarot is spiritual wisdom, religious beliefs, conformity, tradition, institutions. That really ties in with tonight's show because we have a lot of Saturn energy around, Saturn energy. The Hierophant, if you look at the card, is a religious figure. If you have tarot at home, you want to pull them out, I'll put it here in our little tarot board. The Hierophant is a religious figure. In the card, he's actually sitting between two pillars and of a sacred temple, and it's red and blue usually. In the traditional tarot, it is just beige pillars. But it represents consciousness and unconsciousness. And I don't know if we can put a camera just on the card for this little piece of the video, but I don't know who's back there. If I could have a camera on the cards, Bob. And so the Hierophant in tarot is a sign of spirituality, but the pillars that he's sitting between are symbols of consciousness and unconsciousness. And I really can't believe I picked this card. Oh, I guess I can't believe it because Spirit's always with us. But this card is so appropriate for what we're going to talk about tonight with this full moon in Aquarius and some of the transits that we've been having. So I did a little bit of a live yesterday. That's on my YouTube channel now. It's also on my social media. You can find me on Zencuda on YouTube. You can find me on Zencuda.com if you want to book any kind of a reading or anything. And you can also find me on social media, Instagram, Zencuda Official, and Facebook at Zencuda Soul Space. So welcome to tonight's Soul Space. Our theme is the Hierophant. So the Hierophant sitting between two pillars of consciousness and unconsciousness. In his left hand, he holds a cross, the papal cross actually, a triple scepter, and that signifies his religious status. And in his right hand, he's holding up two fingers pointing towards heaven, signifying religious blessing. So some would say that's also symbolic of as above, so below, which is astrology. Whatever happens in the cosmos happens on Earth. So really interesting that we've got the Hierophant tonight. And also, if you look at the bottom of the Hierophant card, he's got two people kneeling down by him. And those two people kneeling down by him are followers. The Hierophant's task is to pass down his spiritual wisdom, initiate people into his, I don't want to say religion, but that's really what the card does often signify. But it also means, introducing someone, initiating someone into a new way of doing things, a new way of being. If you look at the imagery, it also speaks to a shared group, a rite of passage to the next level. And that's absolutely what we're going to talk about tonight. And by the end of the show, I'll pull the Hierophant back in and let you know how it all ties in. So a lot of people are feeling restriction, and I talked about that again on my live if you want to go back and watch that on YouTube or Facebook. And we've got so many transits coming in with this full moon. The full moon is actually happening today, August 19th, the broadcast day of the show. And the energy is pretty powerful. If you look back on some of my older videos, I was pointing out this date like a year ago and saying that for 2025, around the 19th, 20th of August, from the 12th to the 20th of August, and then some, was going to be the most powerful time of the year. And in many, many, many ways it is. So let me go into the explanation of today and the energy that will follow. So right now I had to take copious notes because it was just so many transits that I had to actually research and feel at the show before the show. And just so you guys, thanks for that, Cameron, Bob, we can go back now. So thanks for that show, just to let you guys know how I prepare for a show is I go into my own soul space before the show, and I try and really think about what I want you guys to come away with, what this show really means to me as far as that particular episode, etc. And for tonight, what I wanted to really come across with is not just giving you the transits and the astrological jargon for tonight, but I also want to go a little deeper and, give you guys some guidance into how we can utilize this energy for our full potential, because that's really what the soul space is all about. So these are the transits that are happening right now, and it's a lot. It's a lot. And it's a lot of energy that's not harmonious, so that's why it feels so challenging for us. So yesterday we had Mercury squaring Uranus. Mercury is the way we communicate, our minds. It is our ideas, the way that we also mercantile, Mercury, it's the way we trade and go back and forth. It's squaring Uranus as of yesterday, and that energy will be with us for a while. And that energy with Uranus, you hear me describe it on the show all the time. It's the sudden, shocking lightning in the room. It's the way that we are really awakened to new things and things that are going to make us do things in a new way. Okay, that's Uranus, the positive end of Uranus. By the time you go through a Uranus transit, something will have changed and be different, and you'll be grateful. But when you're in it, it does not feel that way at all. It's very sudden and shocking. You cannot explain what will happen. In this energy overall, when I prepare for the show, I look at a chart and I read a chart from the astrological aspects. I've studied long and hard enough to know how to do that. But I also feel the chart. I go through it, psychically. What is my intuition telling me about the chart? And I know something's going to happen in the next few days, something unexpected. Could be good, could be bad, could be whatever. But I know that things are going to really change, and this is a very changeable week. And the reason why the energy feels so fast-paced and intense for a lot of us is because when we know something's about to change, there's also a feeling out in the collective from people who don't want to change that can be frustrating and volatile and sometimes even, hate to say, violent. And we'll pick up on that energy for those of us who are very sensitive to it. And that's why you'll feel unsettled. But if I could give you an analogy that wouldn't be so scary of those words I just said, this energy is pushing us to grow. It's pushing us to grow beyond whatever our current definitions of ourselves are. Leo is an energy of self-validation. It's where Leo is in the chart is where we're going to be pushed to validate ourselves in our own way, not through others, not through externals, not through our job, the car we drive, the house we live in. Leo is all about self-validation and being seen in the world for who you really are authentically. Aquarius energy is the pioneer. So we've got the moon in Aquarius, the sun in Leo. Mercury is right by the sun. That minds, that communication. So in an energy like this, it's going to make people want to express their validation or look for validation. You'll see a lot more posts on social media. You'll see a lot more communication going out in the world. You'll see a lot more information. Look at me over here. I know what's going on. I'm going to tell you something you've never heard before, something pioneering, or I'm going to break the news on this, break the story. Listen to me, listen to me. I'm over here. I have to present this to you. And that's all fine. It's good. But let's use an analogy of a plant, right? Plants grow, right? And a plant is going to grow no matter what's happening externally unless it's neglected. If it's not fed or watered or given light, a plant's not going to grow. So it's our responsibility when we have to validate ourselves, we want our life validated, to give ourselves water and food and light in order to grow our own self. Pretend you're that plant. But there are some plants who don't do their responsibility. They don't respond to their ability, which is Saturn, which a lot of planets are squaring right now. And when we don't take responsibility for our own validation, showing up in the world, being who we're really meant to be, we were born for a reason. And if we're not living that reason, we're not using our life well, it can be very frustrating. There are people who don't feed and water themselves. They don't allow themselves to go into the light. And so their growth is stilted. It is almost, you could say, an arrested development, like that plant would be. And there are some people who don't grow because they like their pot so much. And I mean the vessel that the plant is in, not the drug. They like the pot they're rooted in so much, they don't ever want it to change. And growing means you leave that pot and you go on to a bigger one and you grow out of the definition you were in that pot, in that restriction. And that's really the only analogy that I could think of that is beautiful, at the same time serious, but not frightening. Some people don't want to grow out of the pot because it frightens them so much. And that's why the energy that we're in right now is called a crisis in action. When Venus and Mars are square, it's called in the zodiac a crisis in action. And that's happening during this full moon. That's just one of the aspects. Venus and Mars squaring. And Venus and Jupiter also squaring. It's amplifying that energy. So what this energy is really about, we've got Sun in Leo, Moon in Aquarius, opposite, because that's what a full moon is. We've got Venus squaring Jupiter. It's also squaring Saturn because Venus squaring Jupiter. It's also squaring Mars. Venus squaring Mars and Jupiter because Mars and Jupiter are together almost at exact, really at like an eighth of an inch apart, practically an eighth of a degree apart in Gemini, which is an air sign. What does that mean? If you were outside tonight and it was clear sky and you went up and looked at the heavens, you would see the brightest star in the sky looking red. And that is because Mars is right on top of Jupiter, the brightest star in the sky. Beautiful, beautiful phenomenon. So Mars is our action. It makes us want to take action. Mars is what makes us want to grow out of the pot, grow out of the restriction that no longer is our definition, right? Jupiter expands that. They're together in Gemini, which is an air sign. Gemini is curious. It wants to go into places it hasn't gone before. It wants to ask the question. It wants to know what's going on. It wants the truth. Gemini is all about, like Sagittarius, with the truth. So now we have that aspect going on. Those aspects, Venus, the things we love, the things we desire, squaring that energy of Mars, Jupiter, squaring the action is, hey, you remember the Stones song, you can't always get what you want? That's the energy now. It's an energy of, I really want this and I really desire it. And Mars is making me feel like I want to take action towards it. But Venus is opposing Saturn, which is the law of the land, the authority, the restriction. So it's like, we want it so bad. And Mars is making us feel like it's urgent. We need to take action on it. But we can't really do it because then we feel this restriction and we feel a little afraid. And like, maybe I'm better off just staying in this pot. Maybe I really don't want to outgrow this pot. Maybe I really don't want to like have to put down roots again and find my comfy space and make sure I'm, angled towards the light again and, take care of myself, right? And that's the crisis in action. We know there's something that is moving. We know the world is changing. We know the world is dynamic. We know the river is flowing. but we're a little afraid to go with it right now, as much as we want to do it. And that's the crisis in action. But the reason why this energy is out in the world and in the universe is to show us that life is dynamic. Life is ever moving and free flowing. We are the ones who create the restriction and create the pain by restriction. The core of most of our troubles in life is some kind of restriction or fear. And if we flowed with everything and we just let ourselves become unrooted for a little while and ungrounded and into a bigger pot and then found our roots and our ground again, we would grow so mighty, like the acorn that grows into that huge oak tree, right? But if you're too afraid to come out of the acorn, then how well used is your life? And that's the soul space. The soul space is when we connect with a source higher than ourselves, and we're in a place of trust, of surrender, and we allow ourselves to come out of that pot that we're rooted in, that place that we're stuck. And we go for the larger pot. And we know we have the ability, and we respond to the ability, Saturn, that allows us to put new roots down and try it a different way. And maybe in the old pot, we had to be like tilted this way to find the light. And in the new pot, we have to be like this. And maybe it feels even better than it used to. But we won't know until we allow ourselves the surrender and the trust to go into the new pot. And that's this energy summed up in a nutshell. And then there are other things also. This energy is also part of a much bigger process. Just because we now are plunked down in the new pot and we have more room to grow and we find a different way to do something doesn't mean we're going to be rooted right away. It's a process. It's all part of a much bigger process. And so those are the things happening in our personal life. As Jupiter and Mars square Saturn, Venus is opposite Saturn, Mercury is right near the sun in what we call a cazimi, which means that Mercury is just highlighting that sun energy and vice versa. Sun in Leo, I want to be seen, I want to be heard, I need to act out, I need to present myself because I need self-validation. So where are you looking for that? Where are you looking for your self-validation? In my country, we're on the eve of the Democratic National Convention, and everyone's poised for this powder keg, I hate to use the word, of, unrest. And those are people who want to be validated, but they're going about it the wrong way. We don't validate ourselves through violence. We don't validate ourselves by being the loudest person in the room. We don't validate ourselves by being stronger or mightier or having a sharper tongue or bringing someone down. We validate ourselves by finding the connection to source that created us and going into our soul space and becoming authentic. I validate myself every day through this work that I do with astrology and readings and helping souls grow, because that helps my own soul grow. I get insight from all of you all the time. And in allowing myself to go to that bigger pot of insight, of listening, of being a part of the world, that's how I mature and grow. And so that's the Saturn energy. It wants us to be on the arc of development of maturity in our life. And Saturn is also time. So what will be happening a lot in this energy now with this full moon, and it's very, very powerful this way, is Saturn is the moments in our life. Saturn is those defining moments that you allow to define you. So it's a really great time this evening when we have the full moon, or even up until tomorrow night or so, of going within, maybe lighting a candle, doing some candle gazing. Leo is fire, Aquarius is air, combustion, combustible. Think about the moments that you have allowed to define your life. Sometimes our parents define us, and we'll go through such tragedy when we lose them and they pass over, but yet we still keep letting those moments define us even though they're no longer here anymore. Or maybe we had a really unruly boss or someone who was cruel to us in our life, or a great loss, and we allow that to be the defining moments of our life. That's Saturn. Saturn is the accumulation of the moments that we use to define ourselves. And now in this energy, with Saturn retrograde in Pisces, we have all of the squares to Uranus, which is the awakening, the sudden shocking moments to knock us off the seat, so that we have to say, oh, wait, where am I? Wait, part of knowing where I am means I have to ask the question, where do I desire to be? Right? Where have I been taken to, but where do I want to go? right? So now we have all that Saturnian energy. But when we go to our point of reference to find out where we want to go, what we want to do, what we really value and love, Venus, that where we want to go, what we want to do is Mars, with Jupiter expanding it. Jupiter is our belief systems. What do we really believe? What is true? What is true? We use all of that to define ourselves. And with Venus in Virgo, that definition becomes very critical. That definition becomes, oh, I can't try out for that team. I'm not good enough. Oh, I can't go for that job. I'm not smart enough. Oh, my mother always told me that I was this. You know what? My dad taught me this. Well, I come from this culture and we believe this. Well, is all that true for you? What are the defining moments for you? I can tell you what a couple of the defining moments in my life are. A defining moment in my life was when I was younger. I was very smart in school when I was a little kid, and I always was the kid who wanted to do extra work and extra credit and all these things. And I would come home with 100 on my paper and A+ on spelling, and I would be raring to go, couldn't run in that door and show it to my dad. And my dad would always say, 100? They didn't have any extra credit? So at a very young age, the message to me was, you're not good enough yet. You're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're not enough. You didn't do enough. And that was a defining thing in my life, for my whole life. I carried that and accepted situations that weren't enough because I just thought that's what you did. You accept what you get, right? When I was 13, my mother took me to the hair salon. I used to have this long, long blonde hair all the way down my back. And my mom took me to the hair salon and she got me, I wanted a shag haircut because I was just like a teenager and that was the style back then in the mid 70s, late 70s. I guess I was maybe 12, 11. I think I was 11 or 12. I was just in that preteen when you're oh, I want a grown up haircut. And she took me to the salon and I got this gorgeous shag haircut that I thought was the best thing ever. And apparently she didn't tell my dad that she was taking me to the hair salon. And when I came home with short hair, my father didn't speak to me for 2 weeks. I didn't know why. I know it was about my hair, but I couldn't understand why cutting my hair would make your father basically emotionally abandon you. So that taught me that your appearance matters in a way with men that is extreme, extreme. And I can remember carrying that my whole life and letting it define me. And I remember being in Aruba one time with a gentleman that I had been dating for a while. This goes back to 2012, 2013. And he had a habit whenever we went travel, he liked to, take a shower, whatever, get dressed for the evening, go down to the bar. And I would meet him in the bar. I would get dressed and all. It was our little routine, whatever. And I always knew that he was very proud when I walked into that room. And he was sitting there having his cocktail. And I remember one evening, we were in this beautiful hotel in Barbados. It was Barbados. And I remember having a panic attack because something in the relationship didn't feel quite right. And I remember taking so long to do my makeup and so long to do my hair because no matter what I did, I kept saying to myself, maybe if I do my hair this way, it'll be okay when I walk down those stairs or I get off the elevator. Or maybe, you know what, do it this way, put this makeup on, use this shade of lipstick because this is what he wants, this is what we have to do. How awful is that you would allow something that happened at 11 years old to define your life? But these are the type of things, and I open up and am vulnerable to telling you these, because these are the type of things that in this energy you'll go back and really think about, and you'll liberate yourself from them. Tough energy, powerful energy, but you'll liberate yourself from them. The negative in this energy is, I need self-validation. I have to be louder. I have to be thinner. I have to be prettier. I have to be smarter, or I'm gonna make my life look so cool on social media, or I'm only gonna have the certain friends that are the right friends, or whatever it may be. Those are the wrong ways we look for self-validation. The way to get self-validation is Uranus, the unique part of you. Uranus is the awakener. It awakens you to your own uniqueness and will put you through the ringer until you accept that. So maybe you're a purple dinosaur. Maybe the shag haircut is still your style. Beautiful. Do it. Be you. Don't care so much what other people think about you in relation to your validation. care about what other people think of you as far as the important things in life, what truly is your integrity. But don't allow yourself to be validated by the things that have been your defining moments. And there's been some beautiful things that have been my defining moment. I remember when I first started in real estate and I went to Tony Robbins' seminar. And I remember breaking that karate board, and I remember walking on hot coals. And it was the first time in my life that I broke through from a limitation of fear. And that was a defining moment for me, that I could actually do those things, and that I was a very powerful person, and that I didn't need to have someone else tell me how powerful I was, that I could go inside and find it and be validated. That's Leo. That's the sun in Leo, opposing the moon in Aquarius. What's new? What's pioneering? What's a different way? And how can you breathe fire into it? That Leo energy. Leo and Aquarius axis, where the moon and sun are in this full moon, is all about dreaming a dream, feeling a potential, and bringing potential into form. That's Leo. Leo breathes life, fire into something that you desire, that is authentically you, and it brings it into form. And it's an amazing, amazing energy when you find it in yourself. That liberation from other people's definition of you. And that's really what this full moon is about. And it's happening for the world. It's happening in the collective. It's playing out right now in the United States of America, which is in its Pluto return. This is happening in a certain place in the chart of America where we're also outgrowing the pot. You know, maybe our governing system doesn't really work anymore. It certainly is broken. And so are we going to move to another pot and grow and find the light and find out what really is a defining thing for us, what we should be defined about? Or are we going to fight really hard not to move out of the pot we've been in for the last 250 years? That's the polarity. And it's the energy. It's exactly being written on the sky. And it's written in your chart. And that's why it's so important to do work with an astrologer. Find out what is the essence of your chart. What is it showing you? What is it telling you that you need to do in your life to guide you to where is that authenticity for you? This is actually happening. This full moon is aspecting my nodes, which I've talked about quite a bit on the show. My south node is at 25 degree of Aquarius, and my north node is at 25 degree of Leo. Right smack in this full moon and sun, and Mercury is there, and it's squaring Uranus, and it has been for a while. And I have literally felt like I was in between worlds, one step into my beautiful, authentic spiritual life and one step into the practical life that I have to do in order to survive in the world. And now, the last few months since the beginning of January, investing in myself in ways of mentorship with other people and really committing to this show and committing to my practical career in the real estate world as well, and learning to integrate the energy to be authentic to me. And everything has just been so unbelievably wonderful. Not easy. Don't confuse wonderful with easy, but it's been wonderful. Even the times when I've really been in the muck and Pluto's dredging all my stuff up from the depths of hell, I know it's going to be beautiful because it's clearing things for me. And I want you guys to know that when you're in those places, that's what it's for. It's to clear us for the places that we no longer need. It's trying to uproot you from that pot that you think is your safety and your security and that you have to stay in. But you really don't have to stay there. You really, really don't. So I just, I know that was a little long-winded. You can play it back if you want. But then I pull the card for the show is the Hierophant, who is teaching us 2 levels of consciousness. What's in your subconscious that's defining you? And what is the consciousness that you need to bring forward into your life that's really your definition, your authenticity, the soul space? So I am going to go to our comments. We have some people on tonight. Say hi to everybody. Just got to catch up on here. Go to my live space. Where am I on here? All right. Gotta go back strong. Yep. Okay, I'm whispering to myself. So then I picked the Hierophant and I'm like, wow, this is like perfectly perfect, right? That's what we always are. So I want to catch up on some comments here. What do we got going on? Whoops. Okay, so the moon is void, of course, in Pisces. It's headed to Aquarius. Tonight is the full moon. Thank you, Joanne Garfey McNally. Everybody give some hearts up for Joanna. She does her show on, I think it's Tuesday night on Blog Talk Radio. It's called Soul Searcher. I'm the Soul Space. See, she's the Soul Searcher. Together, we're amazing. Kim Murray's an Aquarius. Well, you're going to feel this energy, Kim. Growing increasingly frustrating. So for those of you who are finding this energy frustrating, make sure that you are allowing yourself to flow and surrender into the energy. I know that's hard to do, but just allow, like almost like the winds of change, to take you where they need to, because in the long run, you're going to be glad you let that happen. All right. Okay. Yep. Beautiful sun. Hi, Cheryl's here. Sarah's here. Usually the last 2 weeks of August, like next week, I'm not sure if I'm going to do a show. I may just do a couple of lives on Facebook or something. Because the last 2 weeks of August, like everyone's gone. Like I could get like no play in anything. It's like I find that everything really slows down. But this is very, very big energy. So I'm going to pick another card. Let me just look. Wait, before I do that, I'm just going to look at my cards, my cue cards, and see if there's any other energy I need to. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. So this is an opening square, that Venus Mars energy and stuff. And if you think about what happened last February when we first had that conjunction, now it's an opening square, which means that now it poses a question about whatever was going on in your life in February, that challenging part that was showing you your reality. Like maybe I've outgrown something. Like what were you starting to outgrow? That is like what you need to grow beyond, that definition that you need to grow beyond. Whatever was going on last February was the seeding point of now. So now that energy will come up a little bit and ask you the question, how far have you come? What do you still need to really come out of? What definition do you really need to come out of? And that kind of thing. The other thing I was going to say is this also I talked about is the Aquarius Leo axis, where the original seeding moment was in last spring, like in February-ish. Okay. On top of that, the underlying connection is that Aquarius energy, which wants us to grow beyond things. Aquarius energy asks us to grow beyond things. And the way it does it usually is by decentralizing things. So whatever is the nucleus of your life, if it's something that is not exactly authentic to you, or something that's like restricting or holding back your growth, that central space, that nucleus of your life will be decentralized. It'll break apart in this energy. We're going to see a lot of things breaking apart in the world the next few days as well, because anything that doesn't serve us, anything that we really need to understand that we've grown beyond, is going to just break apart. All right. You'll see that in this energy in a very, very tremendous way. This is an energy where, like I said, it's a crisis in action, where we want freedom, we want to be liberated, but sometimes it's going to be 2 steps forward and 1 step back. You're going to ask yourself, how can I liberate? How can I become liberated? It's challenging the pre-existing condition. And that's why I use the analogy of the potted plant. Where are you rooted? Where is that preconditioned idea of I need to be in this plant, this pot to survive? I can't grow out of it. You want to evaluate and then move forward. And what will happen in this energy, because Mercury is retrograde and it went back into Leo, it's right near the sun, which is opposing that moon in Aquarius. What will happen is next cycle, next 30 days, it'll be like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but that's okay because we're still moving forward. It just doesn't always feel like it, but we are moving forward. We're defining ourselves in a new way. We're challenging the existing conditions. We're also challenging the pre-existing conditions. That little girl whose dad didn't speak to her when her hair got cut. We're challenging those pre-existing conditions. This is, the full moon pushing us in the direction to change. You need that motivation. That's that Leo energy, which breathes fire into something. It'll show you the way things need to change. Just really go within and decide, where is it that I need to breathe fire into something? Is this true for me? Does this feel right? Is this resonating with me? Or does it feel awkward and odd and bizarre? And then the other energy that I just wanted to talk about before I pull a few cards is Saturn is being opposed and squared in this energy. Saturn can be heavy because it is the limitation. And Venus is our hearts, and Venus is opposing Saturn. So in an energy like this, not only is that kind of like we can't get what we want, but it's also the limitations are there for a reason. We're being shown the limitation, like that limitation of me standing in front of the mirror and trying to do my hair 8 million different ways, thinking, well, if I do it this way, it'll be better. No, he'll like me better, or he'll do this better, or this will go better. That's a limitation, but the universe was showing me that so I could grow beyond it. That's the whole point of Saturn. It doesn't show us limitations so that we, have a difficulty, although that's part of it. It shows us that limitation so that we grow beyond it. So really try and pay attention of the source of that pain, the source of that restriction. Like I could say, oh, I had that experience when I was 7 and it was awful, and, be in that wound all the time. But that's not the point of it. The point of it was for me to understand that originated because I wasn't stepping into my own self-validation. I wasn't capable of doing it then. But now I am, and now I can parent myself. And that's the bottom line of Saturnian energy, Saturn. It's where do you need to parent yourself and divorce yourself of those defining things, those pre-existing definitions, and come into your own definition of who you are. That's really what I wanted to say about Saturn. So I'm going to pull a few cards for some peoples. Let me just go into the show. Okay, so Anita Mina, I actually feel like I'm having more luck. And that will also happen in this energy because Jupiter expands everything. So if you've been on your path and you've been working really hard to have an awareness, to be in the soul space, to be able to feel really good about the progress you're making in your life, then this can become very benevolent energy and really become an energy where you will feel luck and you will feel good luck, all right? For others, it can be frustrating. So Joanna says, talking about angels on the 27th at 7 p.m. Oh, I love that. That's how I first opened. I'm sorry. I'm just got to shut this off. So that's how I first opened, was angelic energy. When I first started to have like psychic experience, or allow my psychic experience to come, because I had it when I was a kid, but I didn't know what it was. When I first started to become on this path of spirituality and started to really come into my own Uranus transit where I accepted my uniqueness, I started to work with angel cards. And angel cards, I had a certain deck of angel cards, and I would read a different card every week and study that angel. And I became like an angelologist where I was like an expert on angels. And 27 is a beautiful number for me. So that's very appropriate that she's talking about angels on the 27th. So tune in. That's on Blog Talk Radio. Joanna Garfield McNally. Beautiful, beautiful soul. So Kim says, not far enough, not fair enough, not far enough. She says she's going on an adventure alone, a cruise to Alaska. Good for you. Wow, that's beautiful, Kim. You're going to love that. And that's really an energy. That is self-validation. I want to do this. I don't need anyone to validate my doing it. I'm going there to do it. That's a really beautiful energy. Hey, Heidi. Love you. Miss you guys. I should really get up there and take a little trip up and see everybody. And Deneen says she is an Aquarius. So Deneen, you're having, you're going to be starting, especially the end of this year and into 2025, Pluto in your sun sign. That can be challenging sometimes, but it can also be very good strides of a transformation. So going to be interesting to watch and hear how you're doing with all of that. That's going to be really, really interesting. So I want to pick a couple of cards for my friend Joanna Garfield McNally, because she does this work like I do, and I'll bet you she never gets her cards done. So she's always doing it all for everybody else. So I'm just going to pick some cards for Joanna. Love you too, Heidi. I hope things are going well for you. I've been following you, and it sounds like things are really good. So let's pick some cards for Joanna. And also the other, I'm going to give you this direction. I know because I'm going into Joanna's energy and I can feel like she wants me to say this. Go within, go within. That's why the soul searcher. It's searching for that place within that is truly your peace, your tranquility. This is going to be a week that is just like last week. Things are going to fast move. Things are going to be changeable. Stay out of it. You don't need to know what's true. You just need to know what's true for you and what's true inside, right? So I'm going to pick some cards for Joanna. If you could link with my energy if you're out there, that would be great. Okay, this card. Ooh, Joanna, we got the my soul space card. Actually, this card. If we put a camera down the table, Bob, this card is the Two of Cups, which for me is soulmate cards. So if we get a camera on the cards, we can actually show them to you at home. Great. And this is actually the Two of Cups, which I got first for Joanna. And that's an energy of soulmate, union, all that. And I got the King of Swords, which to me is also an energy of Libra energy, fairness, balance. So you're doing some work on that. And then I have the Eight of Wands. Eight of Wands is an energy of action. It's the only card in the tarot, which is an action card. So if I had to read this, I would say that you are having some kind of an action person in business, but this is about a union. This is an activity happening with a union. So if it isn't directly with you and soulmate energy, this is maybe about a reunion, like, you know, getting in touch with someone from the past or something. But I feel like it's just a really beautiful, heartfelt energy for you, Joanna. And then I have this energy, which is the Pentacle energy, Five of Pentacles. This is an energy of maybe coming in contact with someone who needs you to light their way. Someone who's looking down, focused on the snow and the cold and the deprivation, when all they have to do is look up and see the light. And, you know, it's almost like two people searching for their soul space, their soul searching. And there's light in this beautiful window if they just go within and find it for themselves. And then for this energy here, yeah, this is a union. This is a marriage. This is like, you know, family energy, marriage, reunion, union, finding, you know, soul connection. Really beautiful energy. And for some reason, I feel like this is something to do with past coming back. Very interesting energy. And yeah, King of Pentacles. So this is definitely something to do with abundance, to do with past energy. I don't know. The past energy is coming in. If I get the nostalgia card on this, this is knowing you are in control. You don't have to be in a situation where you are, you know, if you're feeling restricted in any way, that's false restriction. You're really not restricted. This is an energy that you can come in and free yourself anytime you want. All right. I feel almost as though something is like open-ended, like something from the past has an opportunity in this energy to not continue, but like a clarity or an ending, but it doesn't feel like an ending like the end. It feels like questions answered, like now you get answers finally. Look at this spread. Underneath here, you've got the Two of Pentacles with this energy. Like this is, you know, celebratory energy, definitely. And then the last card I'm going to pick is Knight of Swords. This happens quickly. This energy comes out of the blue, like Uranus, you know, the Uranus energy. This is an energy of reunion, union. Don't think you have a restriction. That's false. You just walk ahead. There's no restriction here. And then this is also King of Swords energy. And you've got the King of Pentacles, which is abundance. It's also abundance in business. So maybe someone comes in from the past and you do a project or something with them. But this is definitely soulmate type energy, kiddo. So like, I'll be curious to see what's going on for you. Okay. Ah, she's honored. Yep. Right on. We talk about that, you know, going within, finding that beautiful soul space within so that you can, really know your balance, your foundation. We need a foundation in this energy. And now what I'm going to do, because they're telling me to do this, I'm going to pick 5 cards. I see the number 5. I'm going to pick 5 cards. I'm going to shuffle this deck really, really well. And we're going to put 5 cards for the United States of America and the election and Democratic convention. And I'm telling you guys, something this week comes out, is revealed as far as Kamala Harris goes. I looked at her chart. The chart is favorable for her, except that I believe because she, you know, has a Libra Aries axis that's very prominent in her chart. I believe that relationship-wise, she's not going to go as far as we think because she's depending on past relationships to take her forward, and that's not this energy. Too many retrogrades. It's going to backfire. I think it's very similar to the energy that Hillary Clinton had when at the last minute she didn't get elected. But something is going to be revealed along the times of this convention. Something does change and something is revealed pertaining to her that has something to do with the timeline of when Joe Biden left the White House. It could be something good, it could be something bad. I have no idea what it is because Uranus energy is completely unexpected. You can't predict it. But I do know that something is really going to change. So I want to take 5 cards for that whole situation: Trump, Kamala, election, Democratic convention, etc. Let's see what we got. Cards. They're telling me to cut the deck one more time. Okay. Here are our cards. Let's see what they are. I shuffled that deck so damn much and we got the same card we pulled before. So there's some kind of a soulmate energy. There's a harmonious energy. It's a harmonious card. Maybe something comes out about Kamala's marriage. I don't know. But this is definitely an energy of, it can be romantic love. For me, it is a lot of times. This up here, this winged part is Archangel Gabriel bringing a message. So we're definitely getting some kind of a message, something revealed in this energy. We've got the same cards are coming up. I can't believe this. And I shuffled them. I did everything to them. This is, we're not restrained. We're not entrapped. We're not enslaved. We just have to believe in ourselves and know that we're always free in our own minds and walk forward, right? We are free. We can be liberated. Queen of Pentacles. All right. I think that's Kamala, but it could be somebody else. I don't know. And then we've got this. This is battle energy. This is competition. This is an energy of you're too preoccupied with the competition to move forward. You've won a lot of battles, but you got one more to go kind of energy. And if you look at these cards, aside from this one, which is the battle, almost all of these cards are kind of feminine energy. This one is union, but it's feminine energy. Yeah, something's going to be revealed. This is the card I'm going to pull for confirmation. Quiet repose. This is the Four of Swords is an energy of you need to step back and go into quiet. So I feel like that's Biden. Like he stepped back. He's been very quiet. She too has been quiet, but Biden's really quiet. I feel like something's going to be revealed about the whole Biden stepping down thing to do with Kamala. I do feel like that. They told me to pick 5 cards in the beginning. Now I'm hearing pick 2 more. I've got the Devil and 6 of Pentacles. So the Devil card is temptation. It's the Scorpio, the Pluto card. Pluto is retrograde, headed back into the final degrees of Capricorn. This is the Capricorn card. That leads me to believe that this is all about structures crumbling. Structures crumbling. Things are not what they seem. Almost like quicksand. And then we've got this beautiful card, which is the 6 of Pentacles, which is actually someone preaching. And if you look here, this is Libra, the scales of balance. And like I said, she's a Libra. That's where her sun is. Not a great energy for her. So maybe she kind of gets a little too preachy or something in her speech. I don't know. But I do believe something's going to be revealed. But I also believe this is also, you could read this as indicative of the world energy, where we need to be in quiet repose. We need to be in our own energy. This quiet repose card, we need to take a step back and go within. Saturn is the temptation. It's this is the Saturn card. That's why I called it Saturn card. This is showing us, redefine yourself. Maybe in the old tradition, you were chained. In the new tradition, you will not be. This is about liberation and freedom. This energy is the battle. It's the polarity that we see in the world right now. Look at all the action and the activity behind them. But if you look really close, there's all new growth on these staffs. So this is like we have to go through the battle to find the newness. Then you've got this card, the 6 of Pentacles. This is a card of wealth and abundance. But if you look, it's also like giving stuff to the poor, giving things away, but you're supposed to balance it. That's why there's a scale of justice here. So something is balanced. This is a karmic card. This can be if there's karma that's out of balance, this completely balances it. And then the final card in this spread is the Queen of Pentacles, which again, she's holding coin. Maybe this is something where, you're not altruistic. You're really in it for gain or something like that. And there's a lot of that going on in the world right now. And you could even read that as far as Donald Trump goes. He's a businessman. He is also sometimes very devilish in the way he speaks, right? And then this card is definitely walking forward, liberation. So this is a really changeable time. Be interesting. This is going to be an interesting week. I'll tell you that much. So please stay in your soul space and catch me on Zencuda on YouTube, where you'll find the replay of this on all podcast platforms. You can find me on Spotify, Apple Podcast, everywhere. You can even ask Alexa, please play the last Soul Space with Georgia Rose. I love you all. Sit tight this week. Get out in nature. Ground yourselves. Go into your soul space. And please do take care of yourselves and each other. Thanks so much, guys. Watch for my lives on social media. And I'll see you back here next Monday night at 7 o'clock. Bye-bye.